And we are now live. Welcome to the MCU Aftershow on 4GQ TV. And below me is Dion. And then there's Paris below him, who's got a Marvel shirt that is reflective. And it has some type of special gear as you see the background move through it. Some type of gamma radiation. Maybe a future Hulk. I don't know. But we're here to talk about the latest episode of What If, and it has to do with Doctor Strange. And there's a lot of excitement around Doctor Strange right now. A lot of people are hyping up. They're getting ready for the movies. They're reading information on Doctor Strange that may have never read on him before. And I am going to go ahead and open up this episode and tell you with all the spoilers what happens in the beginning, and then pass it on to PK below me. So, in this episode, What If episode 4, it opens up basically with a car scene. You just have a feeling something's going to go wrong anyway, but they, almost avoid an accident at first, but then they still end up in an accident anyway. And Doctor Strange's passenger, who is Christine, happens to die, unfortunately. And that really set the stage here, because in this universe, Strange doesn't lose his hands, but he loses his heart. And I think that is kind of how we see this episode play out. Mm-hmm. He does get awarded for rare brain surgery that validates him as one of the most genius level characters in the MCU. He goes on to defeat Dormammu, but he still cannot get over Christine's death. And this is a Doctor Strange that we now see for the rest of the episode, where he just clearly does not have a heart. PK, take it away and tell me what happens next.
Yeah, so check it out, man. This instead of losing his hands and being humbled by that part where he can't do surgery no more. No, this guy has a broken heart, like you pointed out. So he goes get his training, becomes a sorcerer supreme, but this is the guy with no limits, right? He's got his hands and everything working, so he is accelerating through all his training and his research and learning and understanding how everything works, because his main goal is to bring his sweetheart back. That's his main goal. And that's a scary dude, man. Like you said, he's a super genius. He was getting awarded of performing some kind of rare surgery that no one else can pull off. And even though I can't pronounce it because it's that technical, it is pretty dope. Nonetheless, he wanted to use the ability to change time to bring her back. And I'm gonna just say this ain't the first time we seen Doctor Strange use the time stone to travel through time. He did this in the, what was it, Infinity War, when he went through 14 billion possibilities in the future to find one that they went. So he's done this before. However, he didn't change per se. He just used that information to kind of facilitate that win that they needed. But this one wanted to change the past to bring his sweetheart back. And we all know in comic history, whenever you change in the past for your own selfish gains, it never goes well. Mm-hmm. And he has went back in time and over in every single scenario, no matter what it was, even when he didn't even go pick her up, her fate was still sealed. No matter what it was, Her fate was still sealed,
Right.
and it was just like he was super frustrated.
Right.
And I know you guys who watch Loki are thinking about, well, isn't this really a Nexus event? Well, that's true. It should be described as the Nexus event. However, this is different because unlike in Loki, when you change a point in time, it was changed. This time, it didn't matter what he did. It will always have the same result. This is different. So this is not a Nexus event. This is an absolute point in time, is what is described in this episode. And what that means is this has to happen no matter what.
Mhm.
No matter what you try to do to change it, it has to happen. And every time you attempt to change it, it's going to have the exact same result, regardless of the outcome. Her fate was to die in order for there to be a sorcerer supreme. So, um, I think this is kind of like a telling on what does it look like if Doctor Strange wasn't humbled in the main timeline by losing his hands, because he's the same dude. He has the same intelligence. He has same ambition, right? This guy, when he puts his mind to something, he will do it, and he will be the best. That's his arrogance he always carried. And but what if he doesn't have that humble side of him? Well, this is like letting him off a leash and let him go crazy. Um, and I think with us talking about these things, it's important to kind of loop in what Marvel storytelling, what are they trying to tell us here? And because they're very intentional on specific parts in this episode that is trying to speak to us. And I think it's our job to kind of pull out those points to tell you guys what we see. Anyways, what about you, Paris? What happens when the Sorcerer Supreme shows up, man?
Yeah. So when she does show up, like she basically was telling him that, hey, this is going to lead you to the dark path. Also, I just wanted to call a couple of things out. When he was drinking in the bar because he didn't want to come pick her up, thinking that would help, and she ended up dying. He was watching it on the news, so
Yeah,
that had to be terrible.
it was
I
like a
don't know.
gas light or something.
Yeah, and then it sort of reminded me of that movie Time Machine, right, where he went back to try to save his wife because he was, I guess he was going to get engaged to her in that movie, and regardless of how many times he tried to change the different outcome, she always would pass away. She got hit by horses, she fell, she got robbed, she got shot, all sorts of just different things he tried to do, and that's sort of they played off a little bit of that in this episode, right? They did a little bit quicker, but yeah, yeah. So when she shows up, PK, what was she what was she trying to tell him, Doctor Strange?
Yeah, she was basically communicating him what it meant to have an absolute timeline. Like this has to happen, and you got to accept this is a part of life, right? And even though he resisted, pushed back, and tried to fight against that, and she took it upon herself to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
But what he didn't know is when she did attack him, she did create a Nexus event, a special one
Mm-hmm.
that made a variant of Doctor Strange that exists in the same timeline.
Right,
Um, and with that being said, her plan was to not only weaken him but give him a chance to get himself together, right? Both physically, literally, and on the mystic level, right? So, with that being said, it's more or less trying to stop him from destroying reality by giving him some time to face himself on
right,
on different levels.
yeah.
Um, so she's wise. She knows, even though she was using dark um,
She's dark magic to
mystics,
do it, right?
yeah, to do it, she understands what she was doing to wield that kind of power. So I think it was more or less her still trying to show him mercy,
Yeah,
because I almost think, and maybe I'm wrong, she could have took him out at that point. if she really wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. He escaped, so she tried to do something, but what she did hit him, so that was a good
Yeah,
thing. But
she split him into two
right,
variants,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
I think that was her plan in the whole time. So if she wanted to take him out, I think she could have,
hmm,
but I think her plan was to give him some time to kind of get himself together, and that's the whole point of the Nexus event that she did create.
right, yeah. Two Doctor Strange existing in the same universe.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So when he's there at the he gets to the place, because that's where he's like, hey, you need to find me first, right? So he escapes and he's looking for Cagliostro, the sorcerer or the library, right? So he does find it. He's going through the books, he's studying, he's doing all this stuff.
Cagliostro, is that who you're?
Yeah,
Cagliostro.
Cagliostro, yeah, yeah, and he's trying to do all this stuff to get the power to reverse time, to stop this point in time, to bring her back. So he's reading. Then he finds another way to do it by absorbing beings from other dimensions. So he's trying all that stuff. He's doing it over and over and over again. So much time has gone by. He's just, I don't know what made him go that far. But even though he did all that, he still wasn't strong enough, right? He some of the tie-ins, PK and Carlo, when he summoned the tentacle being, I wonder if it was the same tentacle being that was in the first episode with Captain Carter, because she charged in there to push it back, and then Doctor Strange pushes it. So I don't know if they're even remotely closely tied to one another, but it was a good callback to the two scenarios of both of the What If episodes. So that was pretty cool to see that. He ends up finally getting the tentacle. But before then, he gets beat up by it. Finds out that these beings, they're not for men, and they don't bargain, right? So yeah, he was just on a whole nother level when it was coming to this, right? The more beings he absorbed, the more wicked and powerful he was becoming.
He started
Um,
transforming, looking like them.
right,
Um,
right. And then the Watcher showed up, right? And he was just like, I can warn him. What did he say? I can even intervene. But if I do that, I'm going to risk the safety of all the other universes. So I don't know what he was meaning. Maybe he thought maybe this version of Doctor Strange could probably do something to him, and then which would unlock Doctor Strange to get access to all the other universes, and then go on some sort of tangent and destroying all life and all the other universes. So I can see why the Watcher wasn't intrigued. And as you said, PK, the Doctor Strange sensed the Watcher sitting there, and that's how powerful he was getting, because nobody really can see him or any of that stuff. So that was the crazy thing about it. Just seeing the Watcher stand there.
right. He couldn't sense him until he absorbed not just himself. He absorbed all these beings, right? And
Right.
then he can sense him, and
Yeah.
and that's the thing, right? Um, which is crazy. That's kind of like on a, what do they call that? Uh, what is Star Lord's
Six.
dad?
Oh,
Um,
and well, the next being, really, uh,
uh,
a sentinel or something like that. I forgot.
some
Forgot
sort of
Yes.
being
celestial,
above a
celestial
celestial
being.
being. Yeah,
Yeah, celestial being. Yeah.
yeah.
So Doctor Strange is on his warpath of trying to absorb as much power as possible. Then they cut to after the Sorcerer Supreme hit him with the power blast that split him into two, and they cut back to where Wong and Doctor Strange were having some drinks, and he was like, don't do anything reckless. And this time he decides not to. So um, uh, uh, it was so weird, because I was like, okay, what is going on? And then, we come to find out after he walks outside, the Sorcerer Supreme confronts him again, and basically is like, hey, the world's about, not just the world, the universe is about to end. You need to go and stop yourself. And he's like, wow, okay. All right, let's get to work. So he gets back with Wong, and then they devise a plan to do so. So Carlo and PK, what did you guys think about after, you know, both Doctor Strange meet both of the variants of the Doctor Strange, should I say, they meet for the first time and they're about to go at it. Like, how did you guys feel about the fight scenes and all that stuff in this episode?
Well, I thought the fight scenes have always been good lately in these What If episodes. So, fight scene is fantastic. Now, what I am excited about is the evil Doctor Strange. And because I think the evil Doctor Strange has the potential to make the multiverse even worse and create more divergence in the timelines despite what the watcher may or may not believe. And this evil Doctor Strange, if he was to come forward somehow in a Marvel movie later on with Thanos or something else, or maybe he's even in a universe where he can bring back Carnage. We've seen a lot of Carnage comic books, right? And this could tie into the Spider-Man multiverse. We've seen lately so many different variants of Carnage in the comics and what do you call it? Spin-offs of Carnage and is symbiote. So I think this is all going to tie in somehow. Evil Doctor Strange, Spider-Man multiverse, Carnage, Slasher, the King of the Symbiotes, all of them together. I think this can happen. This Marvel, make this happen. Make these cool villains come to the universe and bring and maybe a Juggernaut Carnage too. Marvel, if you're listening, please, 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 please do that. All right, I'll let PK go now because I was getting too excited.
Gotta get you off your soapbox.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought it was an epic scene. I mean, good battle between both Doctor Stranges. This is the kind of battles we want to see. I wish we got to see in like Endgame, right? See him just go in, just unleash everything and just kind of go in. Because he is dope. He is pretty powerful. And hopefully we see that going forward. So, as we know, there at the close of this, the Dark Doctor Strange wins and absorbs himself and becomes powerful enough to be able to cast a spell. So as he casts a spell, what he did not pay attention to is all the universe around him was unraveling. And with that said, the uh when he brought back Christine, because he was able to bring her back, the problem was the universe was unraveling, and he was asking the Watcher to intervene, and he's like, "Nah, I can't do that." He said, "Well, just punish me instead," and he's like, "I wish I could." You know what I mean? Um, but like you pointed out there, Paris, he mentioned that if he did, it will risk the other universes. Not sure what that means, but we might get that. That might tie into future what if tie-ins. So the way I see this is his lesson learned, because he ends up losing Christine anyway, because he brought her back, but he brought her back in a universe that was unraveling. So everyone is basically ceasing to exist except for him because of the spell he cast and his little bubble he created in his magic. So he's sitting there alone. When I look at this in an episode, I'm thinking they're setting up for something bigger, and I think that's to come. And I think a lot of these tie-ins. I mean, even looking at the Spider-Man movie trailer, we see a very confident Doctor Strange who is not afraid to do spells to try and without spoiling it, do something for Spider-Man, right? And typically Doctor Strange is afraid to do any kind of spells on a huge level that will alter a timeline or people's consciousness to the point where it could create what we call a nexus event. But this one didn't seem like it was a big deal. So there might be some relationship here.
Right.
There may be some relationship here where we have that because this Doctor Strange, at least the one that we've seen in the Spider-Man trailer, is now even more powerful than when he was in Endgame. So we don't know at
Yeah.
that point. So I think that's a good wrap up of the show of that episode, and so I think it's time to do our ratings. I'm gonna start with me since I got the ball. I'm gonna say I think I appreciate the movie because I feel like it has some building blocks, it had some lessons learned. The story writing was pretty good. For the short length of the episode, they were able to tell a lot of aspects of this character and what does this character mean to the overall universe of the MCU. So for me, I would say I would give it a 3. And I believe that this is going to be a direct tie-in to their Guardians of the Multiverse, like a big team up of all these what if characters.
Nice.
So with that being said, I'm gonna just pass the ball to I'm gonna pass it to Paris, and then I'll let Carlo clean up and take us home.
Yeah. Like you guys touched on, the fight scenes were amazing between those two. They were doing all sorts of cool things. I liked it. Even the capes got into it. Right. They were fighting. That was pretty cool too. One was blocking the other one. He was trying to move, trying to
Right.
put moves on it. Yeah, yeah. So the animation, of course, for this entire What If series has been awesome. So that was great. For me, what I think this ties into is probably the multiverse of darkness, like all the dark characters that are coming out. Like they're sort of starting to plant those seeds, like in WandaVision, the whole she gets a hold of the book and she's casting spells and stuff like that. And that's sort of that dark Agatha, the darkness, the witchery and sorcery and stuff. So see it going towards that. And then like in Loki, the universe is fractured and splintered and all that other stuff. And one of the episodes, Mobius was talking about one of the TVA teams that worked on the dark paths, and he said, "I wish it was closed." So it exists, and there's a TVA team that works on that. So now, for what if for them to touch on this, and they bring more dark characters, and he's absorbing their powers, and then you have Shang-Chi, which just came out, and they're talking about all the dark mystic creatures that are trapped behind, that they have trapped. I don't want to put out too many spoilers out, but just FYI if you haven't seen it yet, but go see it. I'm not going to talk. I won't say too much more about it, but that sort of thing. And then you have Eternals with the deviants and with the snap, and that gave them enough power and stuff like that. So I see more of darkness. Not just sort of like, hey, we're going to have 10 Spider-Mans, 3 Iron Mans, 2 Black Panthers. Not that part of the multiverse, but a multiverse of darkness where Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will have to fix an epic movie, Avengers level movie with a lot of characters. And, Spider-Man No Way Home will touch on that and build into that while also telling that Spider-Man story of him trying to get his name either removed or who knows how it's going to end. I think it's going to be awesome. Once we figure that out, and then Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness comes out, which I think is going to be epic. We'll see. I give this because of the fact that it's tying into so much other possibilities, and for what if, I'm giving it a solid 4. Just off the storytelling, the fact that regardless of what he did to try to bring her back, it didn't work. He's the Sorcerer Supreme, and it still didn't work. He ended up destroying an entire universe. One man destroyed an entire universe. that's just unfathomable, right? He destroyed a universe, one man. With Doctor Strange now, for me, I've had him in my sort of, for the MCU, I had him in my top 5 as like strongest characters, but man, he might be number 1 now just based off of this What If episode and the potentials that he can do. So, Carlo, let us know how you feel about the episode. What you think? What are you thinking this is tied into? I heard you say Spider-Man and Carnage multiverses. So let us know.
Okay, so honest answer here, I am not a Doctor Strange fan of the good Doctor Strange. For me, he just wasn't my cup of tea, as you could say. But the fact that there's an evil Doctor Strange, the fact that the Watcher has said more in this episode than in any of the other episodes, the fact that the Watcher is watching this closely, right, makes me feel like that this evil Doctor Strange can create the real multiverse of darkness or madness, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like that, the Avengers Infinity War and then the Civil War, those were big episodes, right? But I feel like that this evil Doctor Strange could bring on an even bigger epic battle of bringing up supervillains versus superheroes, and some of these could be duplicate of themselves just on the other side of the fence. I mean, like, evil Spider-Man, Carnage, Slasher, the King of the Symbiotes, Gwenom. I mean, they could all become evil on the other side of the universe and come in now with the evil Doctor Strange, and he's like, all powerful, and oh man, it's so exciting. But on this episode, I gotta give it a 2, man, because it's Doctor Strange. So I'm sorry, Marvel fans, I'm just not a Doctor Strange guy. But
A 2.
I will go back to this episode if Marvel brings in all these supervillains and the Juggernaut. We need a Juggernaut, and we need a Venom version of the Juggernaut, or a Carnage version of Juggernaut. Maybe Carnage not. That would be great. Yes, so if they do that, I will make this a 5 because it brings everything in to where I would love it to be. But with that said, this is What If, and it's all speculation. Anything can happen, any twists and turns, and Marvel can decide what they want to bring in to the MCU and what they want left out. And Marvel would please bring in Carnage back and all the evil babies of Carnage, I would say. And therefore, I'm going to go ahead and clean up this episode and say thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. And you know what? We're doing great on Facebook, so like, follow, and share there as well. It means a lot to us, and hopefully we can collab with some cool things. So, see you guys later, and thank you for watching.
He gave it a 2. A 2.
No, right?
A 2. I gave it a 2, everybody. Watch for next episode. See you guys later.